Welcome, gentle people, for another video with Dyson, the non-vacuum cleaner company. But it's weird. So today we're going to look at a game called chess. You might not know about it. It's a pretty small game which billions of people play every day. Just billions, not much more. So chess is one of the oldest games that humans played on a board. It's a game of strategy and war to checkmate the other person's king and win. For people new to chess and don't know how to play chess, this is going to be a summary after the intro. Okay, so chess is a two-player game played on an 8x8 board of alternate black and white squares. There are 6 types of pieces in both black and white colors. Number 1, starting with the pawn. A pawn moves one square forward at a time, except its starting move, where it can either move one square or 2 squares forward and captures other pieces one square diagonally. Yeah, so they cannot move or capture by going backwards. They only can move front. They also cannot go move vertically except when, of course, capturing. Next is the rook. So a rook moves and captures straight indefinitely until, of course, something blocks the way. Yeah. So they can go on like forever if there's nothing blocking its way, and if the chessboard was infinite, it can just go on the journey of its life. Next is the one and only knight. A knight moves and captures 2 squares horizontally and 1 square vertically, or 2 squares vertically and 1 square horizontally. They are the only piece which can jump over other pieces, while all the other pieces can be blocked by, you know, any other piece. The knight can jump over others, except if the area where it is going is blocked. Yeah. It's pretty simple. Next is the bishop. So a bishop moves and captures diagonal indefinitely. So the bishop is just like the rook, but the only difference is the rook can goes in straight lines, and the bishop goes in diagonal lines. Next is the queen. So the queen moves and captures as a mix between the rook and bishop. It can go straight and diagonally indefinitely. It's just rook and bishop mixed together to form a queen. Next is the king. The king can move and capture one square at a time in any direction it wants to. But one thing, the king is still very important even if it does like moves one square at a time. Because if you lose the king, you lose the game. So it needs to be protected at all costs whatsoever. The king should be protected. So these are the 6 types of pieces in the game. Now let's go into the rules of the game. Rules means like what you can do and not do, how to set up the board, how to a few things, few phenomenon. So first is the check. So if the king can be captured by the opponent, the king is in check. That means if your king is like there's a bishop here, like you can see on the screen, and it can take over the king in another step. So that is when the king, in that cases, the king is in check. The king can just move away, or else the other pieces can kill the bishop or block the way of the bishop to stop the check. Next is the checkmate. If the king is in check and no matter what you do, he's still in check, you get checkmated and the opponent wins. So this is basically where you can't do anything. Yeah. So you can't do anything and so you lose. You can't do anything to protect your king, which of course is in danger. So next is a stalemate. If the king is not in check but the king moves and there is no check, no matter where he's moved and has no other pieces to move, the king is in a stalemate and the game ends in a draw. If you understand nothing, just look at the screen. Look at how it works. Look here. Look here over here. Next is castling. So the king and rook can exchange their places with a displacement of one square if there are no other pieces in between both of them. Simple. Next is en passant, a French word meaning something. I don't know French. Yeah. If your pawn made a two square initial advance, as I told before when I was telling the pawn's rules, it in starting it can move two squares as initial advance. Sometimes it can do that, and there happens to be your opponent's pawn just adjacent to it on its side. The other pawn, that means your opponent's pawn can take your pawn by just moving diagonally once. Just of your pawn did the two square advance. Okay. Just look at the screen if you don't understand what's happening. Watch it. Next is the pawn promotions. So if your pawn eventually somehow reaches the opposite side of the board from where it started, it can be promoted to either of four things. Either a queen, a bishop, a queen, or a rook. There's no limit to how many pawns can be promoted into either of the four things. Next is the setup of the board. So the setup of the board is as shown here, and one thing you should remember is that the black king should be on a white square, the black queen should be on black square, and vice versa for the white king and queen. So yeah, this is how to play chess. So and in a later video I will tell the history of chess, how it was created, how it was made, how its rule came to place. And then also another thing I must mention to you. This is the official way of how to play chess, but there are some like fan ways, weirder ways, unofficial ways on how to play chess, where they will sometimes introduce new pieces, like one of them including the dabooba or the giraffe. They do not exist in the normal game, but yeah, they are pretty weird. So yeah, this for today about chess, how to play it. So bye humans.